So this is the third and final video pretty much of this section. We should know how to do any of these questions on the first half of the worksheet. Again, using the shortcut, it's as simple as this. Set the answer format up, P and P, and you think what times what is the C value, 20, that if you combine together is 9. What times what is 20 that if you add together is 9? Positive 5, positive 4. And you can put 4 first and 5 second, whatever you want. But it's that easy, guys. The shortcut makes this whole entire worksheet a piece of cake. However, on the second half of this worksheet, it says solve. So we're going to be solving equations. And in order to do that, we have these tiny notes that we made for today. In this section, we'll be solving quadratic equations by applying the zero product property. If you have a factorable quadratic trinomial equation, then you should factor, split, solve. Okay? Factor, split, solve. If you have a factorable quadratic trinomial equation, you should factor it, split it, and solve it. And I give you an example right here. So here's the equation, x squared minus 36 equals 5n. So step 0 is to make the equation equal to 0. So the first thing we should all do on this little slip of paper is subtract 5n, right? And what you do to one side, you do to the other side, subtract 5n. Now, you can't subtract 5n from 36, or you can't even subtract 5n from x squared. Wait a minute, that's a major problem. That was a typo. I apologize, guys. Do this. Change that 5n to a 5x. Yeah, the two variables is not going to work. That was a typo on my part. I'm sorry. Okay, so you still can't subtract 5x from an x squared or from 36. So, and change this also. That n should be an x right there. So we have the rewritten quadratic trinomial on the left side. X squared minus 5x minus 36 equals 0. Again, change that n to an x. I apologize. It won't make sense if you don't change it to an x. So now we have a quadratic trinomial. We're able to set up the shortcut. And we think what times what is negative 36 that if I combine together is positive or negative 5. So if you're struggling, make a list like 1 times negative 36 or 2 times negative 18 or 3 times negative 12 or 4 times negative 9. 5 doesn't work, or 6 times negative 6. So we have all the possibilities right there. Which pair of numbers combines together to give us this b value of negative 5? Negative 9 and 4, that's right. And you plug in the negative 9 and the positive 4 right there. Obviously, I already did that for you right here. Yeah. But what do we do after we factor? If we read right here, step 2, it says to split it with the zero product property. So this x minus 9, you set it equal to 0. This x plus 4, you set it equal to 0. So we're splitting it, creating a complicated looking equation into two simple equations. And step 3 is just solve each equation. So the minus 9, you're going to get rid of it by going plus 9, and that's how we get x equals 9. Over here, minus 4, and that's how we get x equals negative 4. So that should help you out understanding the second half of the worksheet, which all you're doing really is factoring, splitting, and solving. Okay, so first you want to make sure that it's equal to 0, which all of these are except for the last few. So on number 17, the first thing to do is a factor. What times what is 8 that if I combine together is negative 6? Negative 4 times negative 2. Very important that we put those negatives. Okay? And now we're going to split it and solve. So I'm going to rewrite it as x minus 4 could equal 0, and x minus 2 could equal 0. And if I solve both of them, plus 4, I'll get one answer, x equals 4. And if I solve the other one, plus 2, I get my other answer, x equals 2. So those are my two answers for 17. So this whole worksheet is easy if you understand the shortcut of factoring, which is what times what is the c value that if you combine together gives you the b value. Be very careful with your signs. So all of these are ready to factor, split, and solve. Like 21. What times what is negative 24 that if you combine together is negative 2? negative 6 times positive 4. Right? Of course, if you're rusty on your multiplication tables, just start with, okay, how could I get 24? 1 times, actually negative 24. 1 times negative 24. 2 times negative 12. 3 times negative 8. 4 times negative 6. Right? And then you think about the pair of numbers that will give you the b value negative 2. So that would be 4 and negative 6. So you simply plug in your 4 and your negative 6. Now you have it in factored form. So now you could split it and solve. So y minus 6, it could equal 0. Y plus 4, it could equal 0. So your two answers are going to be y equals 6 and y equals negative 4. Those are your two answers. Why? Because when you add 6 here, add 6 over there, you get y equals 6. When you subtract 4 and subtract 4, you get y equals negative 4. So all we're doing is factoring, splitting, and solving. But on our notes, we had a step 0, which was making sure that the equation was actually equal to 0, so you could use the zero product property. Number 22, it's not equal to 0, so what do we have to do? Make it equal to 0, subtracting 18, subtracting 18. So I will have p squared minus 3p minus 18 equals 0. And now that it's a quadratic trinomial set equal to 0, we are going to factor, split it, and then solve them. So put a p right there and a p right there. And what times what is negative 18 that if you add together is negative 3? If you don't see it, make a list. Negative 6 times positive 3, right? Negative 6 times positive 3, that'll give you negative 18. And if you combine it together, it really does give you a negative 3. So we factored it. Now we're going to split it. And now we're going to solve them, right? Factor, split, and solve. So one answer is p equals 6. The other answer is p equals negative 3. And it's as easy as that, guys. Make sure that your equation's equal to 0 first. And then you could factor, split, and solve. Should we try this last one? Okay, so is it equal to 0? No. So step 0. Set it equal to 0. How do I get rid of an 11w? Subtract 11w. Of course, you're going to subtract 11w over here, but you can't really subtract it from anything, so you're going to have to rewrite it as a quadratic trinomial, which is what we want. W squared minus 11w plus 30 equals 0. And now that we have a quadratic trinomial that's equal to 0, now we could think about factoring and then splitting and solving. So just for those students that are struggling, I'm going to make a list of the multiples of positive 30. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 4 doesn't work, 5 times 6. So what times what is 30 that if you combine together is negative 11? 5 times 6 is 30, and if you combine those, it gives you a positive 11, but we want a negative 11. So you just change the signs. You have the right numbers, you just have the wrong signs. So it's a negative 5 and also a negative 6. Instead of a positive 5 and a positive 6, it's a negative 5 and a negative 6. And we know that the negative 5 goes right there, negative 6 goes right there. By the way, it doesn't matter which number you put first, as long as you put the correct pair of numbers. And then you could split them and solve. So when you split them, w minus 5 equals 0, w minus 6 equals 0. So you're going to get two answers, w equals 5 and w equals 6. I apologize, I'm not showing my last step right there, the plus 5 and plus 5 and the plus 6 and plus 6. But we do get those two answers, 5 and 6. And that's it. That is our answer for number 26. So finish up this worksheet. Good luck.